Good evening, and today is the 12th of the August. Last night I was in my judicial room and I was basically observing a lot of articles again. When I just confined myself with a lot of advanced articles, thereafter the questions which are in the opposite sections in the Republican sectors is a alarming open question to today. The baseline issue of the central litigant in interest in the capital areas and outside the capital areas. These are the baseline issues. Again, when I just observe that the inclined total devalued positions of the harassment of the females' reproduction in the Pakistan is a question of today. I was shocked to observe all of the remainder areas of the observations of the same in the Pakistan that the consumption rate of the non-consumption method and the capital's consumptive disorder. These are the baseline issues which I just figured it out through the applied areas of the observation by myself. Thereby, the questions of the devalued multiplication of the comparative religion is a subjective line, is in my thought that we should have to be observant with the comparative religion as well, that the studies under the comparative religion is my favorite game these days. Because the comparative religion, why I'm just dictating the issue of the comparative religion in the Pakistan is an opposite and opposing question by the public at default. Why I always say that and why I always raise that the public at default under the fiscal negation of the humans declined observation is an object line in the Pakistan. This is my prime observation regarding the same as a bureaucrat operative head of the same. In fact, the questions of the central females and males, we have to observe that when I just grossly study the multiplication of the population and the nuisance favoritism culture of the Pakistani, the brain cell, I was basically bound to understand the brain's cell observation of the Republicans. The 90% of the Republicans brain cells are dead, totally dead. And when their brain cells are dead and they are trying to cover up the yardsticks of the public private nuisance areas as well. This is my observation regarding the Republicans' reproduction disordered females, males, whatsoever. Because the neglection under the arc of their family's defection and their parental negligent driven individual in the Pakistan always just fine with the culture of the nuisance everywhere you go. They are publicly harassed, their females are deferred, their males are deferred, and why I'm saying deferred means that they are self confined with the declined oppositions of the same. In fact, I observe these questions. So, why I was observing these questions? Because when I just observed that the females of the Pakistani, they try to convince the same that such females are in the observation of the civil rotation of the negligence, but that is not the fatal truth about the same in the questions. When I just observed that the reproduction erroneous errors of the Republicans, that they are into the habit of the cross negations to the gross net relationships of the same. Yes, they are into the habit of this as well. When I just observed that the whole central areas of the Republicans are in the deferment of the payment as well, I'm totally shocked to observe that they never consider the others to be humans. They are so arrogant in every sector by their inheritance negligence that every sector of them in the total disasters dissolved transactions automatically. I observe these questions. Thereby, I was bound to observe the further issues of the same. In fact, that which subject lines of the Republicans just molded them into the gutters and into the alleys to suck the water of the gutters, and everywhere they are in the habit of not observing the proper line and length of the clean atmosphere. Atmospheric dissolved transaction in Pakistan is a second problem in today. The cleaning of the organs and the bodies and the other areas of the Pakistani, I am not observing this issue from 3 decades. So when the 75% males have become automatically criminals, and I would always, when I just observe that the questions of the public tranquility should have been observed, the public becomes arrogant under the known observation of their self. They become arrogant, ignorant. They are suffering from so many issues. Their parents are trying to convince the same that they have so much disaster in the public sector that you cannot claim it. They are self-confined with every sector. Their females, their males, their every gender is totally disaster these days. If any person is sick inside his home and outside his home and outside his office, the same person's probability of living is very lessened because of the joker type of the bastard non-religious business enterprises. Yes, these issues are the capital gross issues of the Pakistan, which is not being observed by the same. In fact, and I was the person, and I'm still the person who just always evict such issues. As to reform myself, then I was totally observing the negligence of the legacy of the Republicans' females' defection clauses as well. Their females guardians under the guardian cases, the minor ward cases in the Pakistan have raised the defection areas of producing the females and not to observing the issues of the said females in question is a question of modern today. The areas of observing the refined culture of the females depiction of the right areas of living is a question of the modern day. And when I just observed that the females have been become redundant to the practical areas of living, thereafter I was shocked to observe the concept of the non-performance of the livings of the females in Pakistan. This is very easy task that through production of the females from the males and after transplanting the tissues from one human to another human, the said human is not willing to observe the conditional areas of the same. This is a question which is under become in the humanitarian negligence in Pakistan as per my observation. I said that so many times that the Republicans have become redundant with their own issues. They do not know the valuation of the accuracy of the living as well. They don't have the time pace to observe the time ace as well. The questions of I'm talking about 75% in the practical lives are out of the practical areas of the observations to the human observation as well. The refreshment of the mental anguish through the males, through the female, is a favorite topic of the Pakistani today. The question of the living in the accurate lines of existence to the facts of pre-social effect is a question of yesterday. And we are so self-dissolved with the issues of ourselves that we are not into the habit to consider the public disabled transaction as well. When I just observe the educational bias of the young children under their parents' defection clauses, their parents were being deferred from the social economy. Their mothers, their antecedent descendants are in the defection clauses as well. They are totally socially defluxed, and their males are totally in the impulsive behavior of the economy, declined, motivated transactions, and they are trying to convince everyone that they have gathered the social impunity from the same. The civil constitutional issue in the Pakistan and the social deferred Pakistani, after having known and nothing from the same, are trying to convince every sector around the same that they are the permanent individuals who are trying to convince the same that The central issues of the Pakistan are in the positions to be observant by the same. In fact, the methods of the technology, they said they have mobilized technology into the wisdom. I am not of that opinion. The Pakistani and the technology quite opposite, as per my finding. They always use mobilize the technology in the negative senses as well, because they have not groomed under they were not groomed under the areas of the proper affection by their parental negligence, negligent driven drives. So these are the pathetic scenarios of the Republicans which they are not willing to observe in the confined area of living as well. When you just confront with the same, you always confront with yourself inside your wisdom. So let them fight for their bread. Yes. So stay blessed. This is Advocate Gulraiz.